A dress, a dream, and the unexpected hero. Lily stepped into the store, her heart fluttering with excitement. She had always loved fashion, and today was special. She was here to find the perfect dress for the upcoming gala ball at the Institute of Arts. It was her chance to shine, to show the world that she belonged, just like everyone else. Her eyes scanned the racks of beautiful dresses, fingers tracing over delicate fabrics as she moved through the store. Then she saw it, a stunning red dress, the last one in stock. The color reminded her of confidence, of fire, of the passion she poured into her artwork. She reached for it, her fingers curling around the silky material. Just as she pulled it off the rack, a pair of high-pitched voices floated through the air. "Oh my God, look at her," one girl sneered, nudging her friend. "Does she actually think she can pull off that dress?" Lily's grip on the dress tightened. She turned slowly to see two young women, dressed in high-end designer clothing, their manicured nails flashing as they whispered and giggled, making no effort to hide their cruel amusement. "She's seriously going to wear that? This isn't a costume parade." The second girl laughed. "She's going to look ridiculous." How sad. The words stung. Lily felt a lump rise in her throat, but she forced herself to stay strong. She had heard words like these before, people underestimating her, assuming she didn't belong, treating her as if she were less than them. But she wasn't. She had dreams, passions, and a heart full of love. Still, the hurt was there. She lowered her eyes, her fingers trembling as she held the dress against her chest. Maybe they were right. Maybe she shouldn't. "Excuse me." A deep, kind voice interrupted the cruel laughter. The girls turned, and in an instant, their faces lost all color. Their smug expressions vanished, replaced by wide-eyed shock. There, standing behind them, was Keanu Reeves. A moment that changed everything. The entire store seemed to freeze. Shoppers and employees stopped in their tracks, all turning to stare. Keanu Reeves was standing just a few feet away, dressed casually in a simple black t-shirt and jeans, his dark hair slightly tousled. His eyes, warm yet serious, locked onto the two girls with quiet intensity. The girls stammered, clearly thrown off guard. "Oh, we were just, talking about fashion," one of them said, suddenly unable to meet his gaze. Keanu didn't reply right away. Instead, he looked at Lily, the way she clutched the dress close to her, her shoulders slightly hunched as if bracing herself for more cruelty. And then, his lips curved into the gentlest smile. "That dress," he said, his voice smooth and steady, "looks absolutely perfect for you." Lily blinked in surprise. "Really?" she asked softly. Keanu nodded. "You have great taste. Red is a powerful color. It's bold, confident, and full of passion. And from what I can see, that suits you perfectly." Lily's heart swelled. But Keanu wasn't done. He turned back to the two mean girls, his expression unreadable. "You know," he said slowly, "kindness never goes out of style. Fashion fades, trends change, but how you treat people, that's what lasts. And from where I'm standing, Lily here is the most beautiful person in this store." The girls flushed red with embarrassment. They had nothing to say. Keanu looked back at Lily. "Would you let me buy that dress for you?" Lily gasped. Couldn't ask you to do that." "You didn't ask. I want to." Keanu smiled again. "Consider it a small gift for an incredibly talented young woman." Lily hesitated for a moment, then nodded, her eyes shining. "Thank you. Thank you so much." The entire store burst into whispers. People were pulling out their phones, recording the moment. But Lily didn't care about that. For the first time in a long time, she felt seen, not as someone to be pitied or mocked, but as a person worthy of respect. As Keanu led her to the checkout counter, the two mean girls stood there, silent and humiliated. But what happened next would shake them even more. A lesson they'd never forget. Just as Lily and Keanu reached the register, a store employee, who had witnessed the entire thing, stepped forward. "Excuse me, sir," she said hesitantly. "Would you like us to call security? Those two girls have been making rude comments about our customers. We don't tolerate that here." The mean girls gasped. Keanu turned to them, his gaze steady. "I don't think security is necessary," he said thoughtfully, "but maybe they should be reminded of something." He walked back over to the girls, lowering his voice so only they could hear. "You don't know people's struggles. You don't know how hard they've fought just to be here, to be accepted. What you say, how you treat others, it matters. You had a chance to be kind today, and you chose cruelty instead. I hope next time you choose better." With that, he turned and walked back to Lily. The girls stood frozen in place, their faces pale, their egos shattered. For the first time in their lives, they'd felt ashamed. A night to remember. Later that evening, as Lily stood before the mirror in her new red dress, she felt something she hadn't in a long time. Pride. The fabric draped elegantly around her, hugging her figure in all the right places. She twirled, watching as the dress flared out, making her feel like she was floating. And as she stepped into the gala, head held high, she remembered Keanu's words. Kindness never goes out of style. Tonight, she wouldn't just shine, she would glow. And the world would finally see her for who she truly was. The gala, the mean girls, and the unbreakable spirit. The night was alive with elegance. Lily stood at the grand entrance of the Institute of Arts Gala, her heart thudding like a drum inside her chest. The grand hall shimmered with golden lights, the chandeliers casting a soft glow over the polished marble floors. Classical music floated through the air, blending with the hushed conversations of well-dressed guests. Professors, students, and art patrons all gathered in celebration. She took a deep breath. The red dress Keanu Reeves had gifted her hugged her form beautifully, accentuating her confidence. It was more than just fabric. It was a symbol of something deeper, a reminder that she belonged here. But the moment she stepped inside, whispers began. People turned to look at her, some admiring, others surprised. Lily straightened her posture. "I have just as much right to be here as anyone else," she reminded herself. Then, like a cruel twist of fate, she spotted them. The two mean girls, the same ones from the store. They stood in a corner, sipping from delicate glasses of champagne, their expensive gowns glittering under the lights. They hadn't noticed her yet, but Lily knew it was only a matter of time before they did. Her stomach twisted, but she refused to let fear take over. "Lily." A familiar voice called out, breaking her tension. She turned and saw Professor Harris, one of her biggest supporters at the Institute. He was an older man with silver hair and kind eyes, always encouraging her art. "You look absolutely stunning," he said warmly. Lily smiled, feeling a bit more at ease. "Thank you. I'm so happy to be here." "And you should be. Your painting was one of the most talked about pieces at the student exhibition. In fact," he leaned in with excitement, "there's a very special guest here tonight who asked about your work specifically." Lily blinked. "Who?" Professor Harris gave her a knowing smile. "Go enjoy the night. You'll find out soon enough." An unexpected speech. The evening carried on with elegance, and Lily soon found herself lost in the beauty of it all. The grand hall was lined with stunning artworks, each telling a story, each representing an artist's soul on canvas. As she admired one particularly mesmerizing piece, the sound of a microphone being tapped echoed through the hall. An announcer stood on the stage at the front of the room. "Ladies and gentlemen, we are honored to have a very special guest with us tonight. Someone who has not only impacted the world through film, but also through his kindness and support for the arts. Please welcome." Lily's breath caught. Keanu Reeves. A thunderous applause erupted. Lily turned her head, and there he was, walking up to the stage, dressed in a sleek black suit, looking effortlessly charismatic. She could hardly believe it. The mean girls, who had been whispering and giggling earlier, gasped so loudly that Lily almost laughed. "Thank you for having me," Keanu began, his voice calm and humble. "Tonight, we celebrate artists, the ones who see the world differently, the ones who remind us of beauty, pain, love, and hope through their work." The audience hung on to every word. "But what moves me most," he continued, "is witnessing true resilience." His eyes scanned the room. And then, he looked directly at Lily. "I met someone today, someone who embodies what art is truly about: heart, courage, and authenticity." The entire room turned in Lily's direction. "Lily, will you join me up here?" Keanu asked with a warm smile. Her heart nearly stopped. Was this really happening? She hesitated for a second, overwhelmed by the attention. But as she met Keanu's encouraging gaze, she felt something shift inside her. The same courage she had felt when she stood up to the mean girls in the store. She belonged here. And so, with steady steps, she made her way up to the stage. A moment of recognition. Lily stood beside Keanu, her hands trembling slightly. But the moment she looked at him, he gave her the smallest nod, as if silently telling her, "You got this." "Lily is an artist," Keanu continued, turning back to the audience. "And not just any artist, one whose work speaks volumes." Her recent painting at the student exhibition. "It was one of the most powerful pieces I've ever seen." Gasps of admiration filled the room. "I was so moved by it," Keanu went on, "that I wanted to make sure everyone here tonight knew her name." A round of applause burst through the hall. Lily's cheeks burned with emotion. This was more than she had ever dreamed of. "Lily, would you like to say something?" Keanu asked, handing her the microphone. Her fingers curled around it, her heart racing. This was her moment. She took a deep breath and spoke. "All my life, people have doubted me." Her voice was steady, yet filled with emotion. "They assumed I couldn't do things just because I have Down syndrome. But art doesn't see differences. It sees heart, passion. And tonight, standing here, I know one thing for sure. I belong in this world, just like everyone else." The crowd erupted in applause. Tears welled in her eyes as she looked at Keanu. He gave her a small, proud nod. But in the sea of admiration, her eyes flickered toward the mean girls. They looked stunned, not laughing, not whispering, just silent. For once, they had nothing to say. A life-changing opportunity. As the applause faded, Professor Harris stepped onto the stage. "Lily, I have one more surprise for you," he announced with a warm smile. Lily turned to him, confused. "Because of your exceptional talent, and thanks to a generous donor." He gestured toward Keanu, who smirked playfully. "You've been awarded a full scholarship to the Royal Academy of Art." Lily's world stopped. She stared at them, her mind struggling to process the words. "A scholarship," she whispered. "Yes," Harris confirmed. "A full one. Your talent deserves to be nurtured. And now you'll have the chance to develop it at one of the most prestigious art schools in the world." Tears spilled over. She had spent years proving herself, believing that doors would always be closed to her. But tonight, one had just swung wide open. She turned to Keanu, her voice breaking. "I don't even know how to thank you." He simply smiled. "Just keep being you, Lily. The world needs more people like you." The mean girl's realization. As the gala continued, Lily was surrounded by well-wishers, professors, and fellow artists congratulating her. But at one point, she found herself face to face with the two mean girls. They looked different. Less arrogant, less cruel, more ashamed. One of them cleared her throat awkwardly. "Hey, we just wanted to say." She hesitated, then sighed. "We were wrong about you." Lily looked at them, searching their faces for any sign of sarcasm. But there was none. "You really are amazing," the other girl admitted, her voice softer than before. "We shouldn't have judged you." Lily smiled, not out of victory, but out of peace. "Thank you," she said simply. And with that, she turned away, stepping forward into her bright future. A new beginning, a new challenge. Lily stood in front of the towering gates of the Royal Academy of Art, her heart pounding in her chest. The academy was a dream, a place where the most talented artists in the world came to hone their skills, a place where people saw art, not limits, a place where she would finally belong. She clutched the strap of her bag tightly, taking a deep breath as she stepped forward. This was it, a new beginning. But what she didn't know was that this journey wouldn't be easy, and that her biggest challenge was yet to come. A warm welcome and a cold reality. The moment she entered the campus, she was surrounded by beauty, massive sculptures, breathtaking murals, and students passionately sketching, painting, and sculpting in open courtyards. The air smelled of fresh paint and inspiration. "You must be Lily." She turned to see a kind-faced woman in a floral dress walking toward her. "I'm Professor Elena Vasquez, head of the painting department. We're so thrilled to have you here." Lily smiled. "Thank you. I'm really excited." Professor Vasquez led her through the halls, introducing her to fellow students. Some were warm and welcoming, others indifferent. But then there were a few who looked at her the same way the mean girls had back in the store, like she didn't belong. As she walked past a group of students, she heard hushed whispers. "She got in on a special scholarship, right?" One girl murmured. "Yeah, probably charity." "No way she's on our level," a guy chuckled. Lily clenched her jaw, the sting of their words cutting deep. She had thought things would be different here, that people would finally see her talent, not just her condition. But old prejudices had a way of creeping in, even in the most beautiful places. Proving herself, determined not to let their words break her, Lily threw herself into her work. Every day, she painted for hours, pouring her soul onto the canvas. She experimented with new techniques, pushed herself harder than ever before. But doubt still lingered. One evening, she sat alone in the studio, staring at a half-finished painting of a stormy ocean. "What if they're right?" she whispered to herself. "What if I'm not good enough?" Tears pricked her eyes. She was trying so hard, but the weight of proving herself, again and again, was exhausting. Then her phone buzzed. A message from Keanu Reeves. "Hope you're doing okay, Lily. Remember, art isn't about proving anything. It's about telling your story, and your story matters." Lily inhaled sharply. Keanu had always been kind, always encouraging. But this was exactly what she needed to hear. With renewed determination, she picked up her brush. She wasn't here to impress anyone. She was here to create. The first test. A month into the program, the Academy announced a special exhibition, a chance for students to showcase their best work. Only 10 paintings would be chosen. Lily knew this was her moment. She worked day and night, barely sleeping, perfecting a piece that came straight from her heart. A painting of a young girl standing in the rain, head tilted toward the sky, arms wide open, embracing the storm instead of running from it. It was her story, a story of resilience. When the day of selection arrived, the students gathered as the names were announced. One by one, the chosen artists stepped forward. 9 names were called. Then the final selection. And the last artist to be featured in the exhibition is a pause. Lily Anderson. Lily's breath hitched. She had done it. But the moment of triumph was short-lived. As the students clapped, she caught sight of a familiar pair of bitter eyes. A girl named Sophia, one of the most respected artists in the program. Her face twisted with jealousy. And Lily had no idea that Sophia wasn't going to accept this quietly. Sabotage. The night before the exhibition, Lily returned to the studio to take one last look at her painting. But when she got there, she froze. Her painting was ruined. Someone had splashed water all over it, the colors bleeding into an unrecognizable mess. Lily's stomach dropped. "No, no, no," she whispered, her hands shaking as she reached out to touch the damaged canvas. Tears welled in her eyes. She had worked so hard, pushed herself to the limit. And now, everything was destroyed. The exhibition was tomorrow. What was she going to do? An unexpected ally. A soft knock on the door made her turn. It was Professor Vasquez. Her eyes widened when she saw the ruined painting. Lily, what happened? Lily swallowed the lump in her throat. I don't know. Someone did this. Professor Vasquez's face darkened. This is unacceptable. I'll speak to the head of the academy. But, she sighed, we don't have time to fix this for the exhibition. Lily's heart shattered. All that work, all that effort, wasted. But then, another voice spoke. Maybe not. Lily's eyes widened as Keanu Reeves stepped into the room. A race against time. Keanu, she gasped. What are you doing here? He smiled. I was in town for a project. Thought I'd check in on my favorite artist. Then his smile faded as he saw the painting. Lily, what happened? Lily wiped a tear from her cheek. Someone ruined it. And now, I won't be in the exhibition. Keanu studied the ruined painting for a moment. Then, his eyes lit up. Who says you can't? Lily frowned. What? You're an artist, Lily. And artists don't give up. We create. He turned to Professor Vasquez. How much time do we have? The exhibition starts in 12 hours. Keanu grinned. That's plenty. Lily's eyes widened. You think I can fix it? I don't think. He gave her a pointed look. I know. And just like that, the race was on. The power of art. For the next 12 hours, Lily worked like never before. She didn't try to fix the ruined painting. She embraced it. Using the blurred colors, she transformed the piece into something even more powerful, an image of a young girl standing in the rain. But this time, the rain was part of her. Not a storm, not destruction, but something beautiful. By the time morning came, she was exhausted, but proud. And when her painting was unveiled at the exhibition, it was met with silence. Then, thunderous applause. People saw her story in every stroke, every color. And in the crowd, she saw Sophia, her face pale, her mouth slightly open. Lily had won, not through revenge, but through resilience. A new future. As the night ended, Keanu found her, smiling. You did it, he said softly. Lily smiled back. I wouldn't have if you hadn't believed in me. Keanu shook his head. No, Lily, you believed in yourself, and that's all that ever mattered. For the first time in her life, Lily knew. She wasn't just a girl with Down syndrome. She wasn't just a student. She was an artist, and she was just getting started. The spotlight and the unexpected offer. The night of the Royal Academy of Art exhibition had changed everything. Lily had fought through sabotage, self-doubt, and the weight of expectations, and she had won, not through vengeance, not through anger, but through sheer resilience. Her painting, once ruined, had been reborn into something even more powerful. The blurred colors of her stormy girl had captivated the audience, leaving them silent, emotional, and ultimately in awe. But what Lily didn't know was that the night's triumph was only the beginning. The morning after, Lily woke up to the sound of her phone buzzing uncontrollably. She groggily reached for it, her muscles aching from the hours of painting the night before. As she unlocked the screen, her eyes widened. Hundreds of notifications. Her name was everywhere. The artist who refused to break. Lily Anderson's masterpiece steals the show at the Academy's exhibition. Keanu Reeves stands by rising star at Art Gala. Her heart pounded as she scrolled through social media. Pictures of her painting had gone viral. People from all over the world were sharing it, praising her for her talent, her perseverance. And then, her inbox. She almost dropped the phone. Among the hundreds of messages, one stood out. An email from the Louvre Museum in Paris. Her breath caught in her throat. The Louvre, one of the most prestigious art institutions in the world. With trembling fingers, she clicked on the message. Dear Miss Anderson, we were deeply moved by your piece at the Royal Academy's exhibition. Your ability to transform adversity into art is nothing short of inspiring. We would love to discuss the possibility of featuring your work in our upcoming Artists of the Future showcase. Please let us know if you'd be interested. Warm regards, Sophie Laurent, Curator, Louvre Museum. Lily screamed, an offer she never expected. The Royal Academy was already a dream come true. But the Louvre wanted her. Her mind raced. She wanted to tell someone, to share this moment. And before she could overthink it, she texted Keanu. Lily, you won't believe this. The Louvre wants to feature my painting. Keanu responded almost instantly. Keanu, not surprised. You deserve this. Call me. She pressed the call button without hesitation. Lily, Keanu's warm voice came through the phone. This is amazing. I told you, you're not just an artist. You're a movement. Lily grinned. I can't believe it. The Louvre. Keanu, this is insane. No, he said gently. It's exactly what should be happening. Your story, your art. People need it. Lily swallowed hard. But what if I mess up? What if I'm not ready? Keanu chuckled. You're asking me that. I've filmed entire movies thinking, what if I mess up? But you know what I've learned? The only way you fail is if you let fear stop you. Lily took a deep breath. He was right. She couldn't let fear win. Not now. So, do I say yes? She asked. Keanu laughed. You don't just say yes, Lily. You own it. A surprising apology. Later that afternoon, as Lily walked into the Academy's main hall, she noticed a familiar figure standing near the large windows. Sophia. The same Sophia who had tried to sabotage her. The same Sophia who had failed. Lily hesitated. Then, as if sensing her, Sophia turned. Their eyes met. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then Sophia sighed and walked toward her. Look, I know I don't deserve your time, but I need to say this. Lily raised an eyebrow, staying silent. Sophia bit her lip. I was awful to you. And not just last night. I was one of the people whispering behind your back, saying you didn't belong. Lily's heart clenched, but she let her continue. When I saw your painting last night, I realized I was wrong. I was so caught up in being the best that I let jealousy get the best of me. I thought I could take you down, but instead, you just proved how strong you are. Sophia looked down, ashamed. I'm sorry, Lily. Truly. Lily studied her for a moment. The old her, the one who had been hurt so many times before, might have held on to the anger, the pain. But not this Lily. She had won, and she had nothing to prove anymore. Thank you for saying that, Lily said simply. Sophia looked up, surprised. You forgive me. Lily shrugged. Holding on to anger won't make me better. But learning from this, that will. Sophia blinked. Then slowly she smiled. I get it now, she said softly. That's what makes you different. You don't just create art. You create change. A life-changing decision. That night, Lily sat by her dorm window, staring at the email from the Louvre. She had made it this far. She had fought for her place in the art world. And now, she had a choice. Stay at the Royal Academy, or take a leap into the unknown and go to Paris. Her heart pounded. Then, her phone rang. Keanu again. Made a decision yet? He asked, amusement in his voice. Lily took a deep breath. I think so. And, she grinned. I'm going to Paris. There was a pause. Then, Keanu chuckled. That's my girl. Lily looked out at the stars, her heart full. She had spent so much of her life wondering if she belonged. But now, she finally knew. She wasn't just an artist. She was a force to be reckoned with. And this was just the beginning. A new world, a mysterious curator, and a familiar face in Paris. Lily had never been on a plane before. She pressed her forehead against the window, watching as the city below shrank into a patchwork of lights. The hum of the engines vibrated through her seat, but all she could think about was what waited for her in Paris. The Louvre, a world of art beyond her wildest dreams, and a future she had never dared to imagine. Keanu had insisted on booking her flight. Think of it as an early celebration gift, he had said with a smile. Now, as the plane soared across the Atlantic, Lily's heart pounded with both excitement and fear. What if I don't belong there? She thought, gripping the sketchbook in her lap. But she knew the answer. She belonged wherever her art took her. And right now, that was Paris. Bienvenue à Paris. The moment she stepped off the plane, the world changed. Paris felt different, like stepping into an oil painting, where every detail was richer, more vibrant. The smell of fresh pastries filled the air as she left the airport. The streets pulsed with energy, tourists and locals weaving through each other in a delicate dance. Old stone buildings towered above her, their intricate details whispering stories of history and art. She inhaled deeply. "This is it," she whispered. A black car was waiting for her at the curb. A man in a sleek suit held a sign with her name. Lily Anderson. "Mademoiselle Anderson?" he asked, his French accent thick but his English clear. "Yes." Lily beamed. "Welcome to Paris. I will take you to the Louvre." The Louvre. Even hearing the word made her stomach flip. She slid into the car, her heart racing as they drove through the city of lights toward the place where her dream was becoming reality. The first look at the Louvre. Nothing could have prepared her for the actual Louvre. The car pulled up to a massive palace-like structure, its grand glass pyramid standing like a beacon at the entrance. "Oh my gosh." Lily breathed, pressing her hands to the window. This was the Louvre, the place where Da Vinci, Van Gogh, and the greatest artists in history had their work displayed. And soon, so would she. As she stepped out of the car, her fingers clenched around her bag. Her heart raced. "Breathe, Lily. You belong here." She took a deep breath and stepped forward. A meeting with the mystery curator. Inside the Louvre, everything felt larger than life. Paintings stretched up to ceilings so high they seemed endless. Tourists murmured in awe as they gazed at masterpieces. Lily followed the assistant down long, echoing hallways until they reached an office with a golden plaque. Sophie Laurent, senior curator. The door opened, revealing a tall woman with dark, curly hair and piercing green eyes. She was dressed in an elegant black suit, exuding authority and grace. "Mademoiselle Anderson," Sophie said, a warm but calculating smile on her lips. "Bienvenue. Welcome." Lily swallowed. This woman radiated power. "It's an honor to be here," she said, trying to sound confident. Sophie studied her for a long moment before gesturing to a seat. "Let's talk about your painting, shall we?" Lily's hands felt clammy as she sat across from the curator. "Your work is unique," Sophie said, tilting her head slightly. "It does not fit into the traditional techniques we see here, but that is precisely why we are interested in it." Lily's heart pounded. "I thank you. That means a lot." Sophie steepled her fingers. "Tell me, Lily, what is art to you?" Lily hesitated. She could have given a textbook answer, but instead she spoke from her heart. "Art is how I prove I exist," she said softly. "It's how I tell my story, how I turn pain into something beautiful. It's not about being perfect. It's about feeling something." For a long moment, Sophie said nothing. Then, slowly, she smiled. "Trust bien." Lily exhaled, realizing she had been holding her breath. "Your piece will be displayed in the Artists of the Future wing. But there's something else." Lily frowned. "Something else?" Sophie leaned forward, her eyes gleaming. "We want to commission you for another piece. a new painting, one that will be unveiled at the opening night of the exhibit. Lily's mind spun. A new piece. She had barely adjusted to being in Paris, and now they wanted her to create something from scratch for the biggest night of her career. "You have 1 month," Sophie added, "and I expect something breathtaking." Lily's throat went dry. This was her biggest challenge yet. A familiar face in Paris. Later that evening, as she wandered the streets of Paris, overwhelmed by the weight of expectations, her phone buzzed. A message from Keanu Reeves. "Keanu, turn around." Lily frowned. She spun on her heel. And there he was, standing near a street cafe, hands in his pockets, grinning. "Keanu." He chuckled. "You didn't think I'd let you take on Paris alone, did you?" Lily gaped. "Are you serious? What are you doing here?" "I had some meetings for a project," he said, shrugging, "and I figure I'd check in on my favorite artist." Lily laughed, the stress of the day melting away. "You always show up when I need it the most." Keanu smiled. "That's what friends do, right?" Lily grinned, feeling the warmth spread through her chest. With Keanu here, somehow, she felt ready. She had a month to create something breathtaking, and she was going to make sure the world would never forget her name. The struggle, the fear, and the unexpected muse. Paris had always been a city of inspiration. The narrow, winding streets filled with artists sketching on corners. The aroma of fresh pastries drifting from cafes. The Seine River, where musicians strummed guitars as lovers walked hand in hand. And yet, Lily sat in her small studio, staring at a blank canvas. Her mind was empty. The Louvre had given her 1 month to create a piece worthy of an exhibition opening night, an opportunity most artists could only dream of. And yet, nothing. She picked up her paintbrush, dipped it into the rich reds, and let it hover over the canvas. But her hand wouldn't move. Doubt clawed at her. "What if I can't do this?" she whispered to herself. What if her first painting being displayed was a fluke? What if she wasn't really good enough? Her chest tightened. The pressure was suffocating. And worst of all, she had no idea what to paint. The weight of expectation. Days passed. Lily tried everything, walking through museums, sketching in cafes, sitting by the Eiffel Tower, and watching the world move around her. But every time she returned to the canvas, nothing. Keanu noticed. "You're not yourself," he said one evening as they sat outside a cafe near Montmartre. "Talk to me." Lily sighed. I don't know what to paint, and the more I try, the worse it gets." Keanu sipped his coffee, thinking, "You're trying to force it." "I don't have a choice, Keanu. The exhibit is in 3 weeks, and Sophie is expecting something amazing. What if I let her down? What if I let everyone down?" Keanu leaned forward, his voice calm but firm. "Lily, do you know why I never let fear stop me from acting?" She frowned. "Why?" He set down his cup. "Because the moment you let fear control your art, you stop creating for yourself. You start creating for them." Lily's breath hitched. "Art isn't about proving anything," he continued. "It's about saying something that only you can say." She swallowed hard. "But what if I don't know what to say?" Keanu smiled. "Then maybe it's time to stop thinking and start feeling." An unexpected journey. That night, Lily couldn't sleep. Keanu's words echoed in her mind. Start feeling. She grabbed her jacket and stepped outside. The city was alive, even past midnight. Streetlights cast golden glows on cobblestone roads. People laughed in the distance. A violinist played a soft tune near the river. Lily wandered without direction, letting Paris guide her. And then, she found herself standing in front of a homeless woman, sitting by a cafe, clutching a tattered painting in her hands. The woman looked old, her eyes weary but kind. Her clothes were worn, her fingers stained with paint. Lily hesitated, then slowly approached. "Bonsoir," she greeted softly. The woman looked up, her gray-blue eyes locking onto Lily's. She studied her for a long moment before speaking. "You are an artist," she said in a thick French accent. Lily blinked. "How did you know?" The woman smiled faintly. "You have the same look I once had. Lost. Searching." Lily sat beside her. "I need to paint something, but I don't know what." The woman chuckled. "Then you are not ready to paint." Lily frowned. "What do you mean?" The woman pointed to the city. "Before you paint, you must see. Before you see, you must feel." She lifted the tattered painting in her hands. It was a portrait of a young girl standing in the rain, looking up, smiling. Lily's breath caught. This is beautiful," she whispered. The woman nodded. "It was the last thing I painted before I lost everything." Lily turned to her, eyes wide. "You used to be a painter." The woman's gaze softened. "Once, yes. But life takes as much as it gives." Lily's chest ached. This woman had been like her, an artist with dreams. And now she was alone on the streets, forgotten. And suddenly, Lily knew. She knew what to paint. The birth of a masterpiece. For the next 2 weeks, Lily barely left her studio. She painted day and night, her fingers moving with a force she had never felt before. She poured her heart onto the canvas. Every fear, every moment of doubt, every whisper of "you don't belong." She painted the homeless woman, not as a victim, not as someone forgotten, but as a warrior. She painted the wrinkles in her face, each one telling a story. She painted her hands, strong, despite everything they had been through. She painted her eyes, full of life, full of history, full of art. And at the bottom of the painting, Lily added a single word: resilience. The moment of truth, the night of the exhibition arrived. The Louvre was packed. Journalists, art collectors, famous painters, all gathered to see the artists of the future collection. Lily stood beside her painting, her hands sweating. What if people hated it? What if they didn't understand? But then, Sophie Laurent stepped forward. She stared at the painting for a long, long time. Then, without a word, she turned to the audience and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, we are witnessing the arrival of a truly extraordinary artist." Gasps echoed through the room. And then, applause. Lily's chest tightened with emotion. She had done it. She had found her voice. She had told a story that mattered. And when she turned, she saw Keanu standing in the crowd, smiling. "I knew you had it in you," he mouthed. Lily beamed. For the first time in her life, she didn't just feel like she belonged. She felt unstoppable. The legacy, the unexpected twist, and the full circle moment. The night of the Louvre exhibition had been more than a success. It had been a revolution. Lily's painting, Resilience, had stolen the show. Not because it was technically perfect, but because it spoke to something deeper. The quiet battles people fought every day. The strength hidden in forgotten places. The undying spirit of an artist. Critics called it a masterpiece of raw emotion. Collectors whispered about its power. And the homeless woman who inspired it. She had no idea her face had just been immortalized in the most famous museum in the world. An unexpected honor. The morning after the exhibition, Lily woke up to an inbox exploding with emails. One, in particular, made her freeze. "The Louvre would like to permanently acquire your piece for its contemporary collection." Her head spun. Permanent. As in, forever. Her name, her story, her work would never be forgotten. She had imagined a future where she struggled to prove herself. But now, she had built a legacy that would last beyond her lifetime. But Lily had one more thing to do. Before she made her final decision, she had one stop to make. She grabbed her painting, left the Louvre, and took a taxi back to the same cafe corner where she had met the homeless woman. But this time, the spot was empty. Lily's heart dropped. Where was she? She asked the cafe owner, the nearby flower vendor, the street musicians. But no one knew. It was as if the woman had vanished. And then the cafe owner sighed. She's been here for years, but maybe this city finally pushed her away. Lily's hands clenched around the canvas. She had promised herself she wouldn't let this woman fade into obscurity. She had one last way to honor her. A final act of kindness that left everyone speechless. That night, at a press conference in the Louvre, reporters bombarded Lily with questions. What does this moment mean for you? How does it feel to make history? What inspired resilience? Lily took a deep breath. This painting isn't just mine. The room fell silent. It belongs to someone who reminded me why art matters, someone who deserves to be remembered. And so, she turned to Sophie Laurent, the Louvre curator. I'm donating this painting to the Louvre, under one condition. Sophie frowned. And that condition is? Lily lifted the microphone. I want her name to be remembered. She pulled out a small scrap of paper, the only thing the woman had ever given her, with her name scribbled in shaky handwriting. Amélie Rousseau. Gasps echoed through the crowd. The name of a forgotten artist would now sit in the Louvre forever. No one in that room would ever forget her again. Keanu's full circle moment. After the event, as the Louvre's lights dimmed, Keanu found Lily standing in front of the glass pyramid, staring at the stars. You did it. Lily turned, eyes shimmering. I couldn't have done it without you. Keanu smiled, shaking his head. I just reminded you of what you already knew. She laughed softly. Keanu. Yeah. Why do you always show up at the moments I need it most? Keanu shrugged. Maybe that's just what friends do. Lily turned back to the sky. For so long, she had felt like she had to fight for her place in the world. But now, she didn't just belong. She had changed something. And that was a legacy worth leaving behind.